It's easier to talk like that when you got the big lead. Travis Moore having a night as well.
He had a great time last week, didn't he? 8 for 106.
The primary targets for Dave Dickinson have been the inside receivers, Danielson and Pitts, but Travis Moore has also caught a few.
5 receiver set for Dickinson. Rolls to his right, decides he'll get the first down himself, sliding at the 55, right at midfield. Ran into Terry Ray. Ray just might be the best defensive player on the Eskimos this season. What do you think?
Well, I think he is. I mean, and that's what they say, too, here in the coaching staff. As soon as they moved him down to linebacker, their run defense became that much better. But he has the ability to cover. He's like a tweener, like a Darryl Hall type for Calgary. He's the type of guy that you don't have to substitute for. You leave him in because he can stop the run. He's physical. But he can also walk out and cover a receiver. He started the year as a defensive back.
Another Stampeder first down this time, right at midfield. Little play action fake. And a long toss, complete to Marcus Dowdell. Inside the 5 and down to about the 1-yard line. Fogle made the tackle with Chris Hardy helping out, and there's a marker down after a 54-yard gain.
Defensive backs will always tell their teammates you want to get a ball call. And a ball call simply means when the football is in the air.
Major foul. Edmonton number 8, face mask. First down.
When the football is in the air, yell as loud as you can. Ball comes. See, Anthony Fogle waits too long to turn back. Marcus Dowdell comes back first, comes up with the catch, and then there's a face mask penalty in there afterwards on Chris Hardy. You got to get that ball call so you can turn around in time to see where the ball is located and come down. Dowdell gets involved in the action.
We saw a similar situation on Monday at about 6 o'clock Mountain Time. Stampeders on the 1-yard line. The Eskimos stopped them there and won the game. They won't stop them here. Kelvin Anderson has the touchdown into the end zone and forced out again. And Marcus tries to find a few Calgary fans in the stands. There are a few here.
Yeah, there's a few up there that made the trip. Highway 2. Well, you talked about the Labor Day game where they were held. Well, this time they turn around and hand it to Kelvin Anderson, because one reason you do that is that your running back has the option to go over the top of the pile or right through it, and Anderson chose to go through it.
Well, they thought of the quarterback taking it in because they only had one crack at it on Monday at McMahon. 1 second on the clock. They were on the 1-yard line. It was third down, and they only had one opportunity. And the running back play does take a little longer to develop in a situation like that. They had 3 cracks at it if they needed it there. Dave Dickinson has put up great numbers. He may hit 500 tonight. 425 already, and there's a quarter to go.
The one interception was on a shovel pass as well to Grant Carter, so he has really put together a tremendous game after taking a pounding, and you know he has some toughness, and a Calgary fan getting the touchdown ball from Kelvin Anderson.
Their numbers matched. I guess that's why the ball went there. Number 32 to 32.
Pretty nice souvenir. It's an expensive souvenir. Kelvin Anderson likely have to pay for it.
How much do they cost these days?
I can't remember. I remember in the old days, he threw one in the stands. It was like $80, but I think they've gone up a little bit since then.
We the real deal. They know that person was a fluke. They know that person was.
Well, Mark McLaughlin has just surpassed Dave Cutler, moving into 3rd spot on the all-time points leaders parade. Well, actually, it's a tie at this point.
Well, I think
2-37.
He'll beat it.
Tied for 3. Ridgway, who would have been nothing without you, is number 2. Dave Cutler won't be number 3 for long.
The toe puncher, Dave Cutler. The straight-on kicker. I believe the last.
I think in all of football, anywhere. Swinton bobbles the return, gets it back, and the Eskimos are happy to have the ball at about the 34.
Everything working for the Calgary Stampeders. Mark McLaughlin close to moving ahead of Dave Cutler. Of course, Alan Pitts with the big night, passing Ray Algard had come all-time leading receiver in Canadian Football League history. There's Alan Pitts. More congratulations for him. Tremendous career, and it just continues to add to those great numbers.
Over 13,000. He's #1 now. Eskimos having a tough second half. Now they've gone back to Mills. But it may be a little bit late at 35-13. 3 seconds to go till three-quarter time. Kevin Mason running the Eskimo offense with Nealon Green on the sidelines. His hamstring acting up again. But Green was really ineffective with only 41 yards passing in the first half.
Well, one thing that's a little bit surprising, see the guy holding the clipboard is Dan Crowley. He's has been the backup quarterback here in Edmonton. He's been here longer than Kevin Mason, so it's a little surprising that Mason's playing ahead of him.
Mason wasn't close to Walters. On the last 10 second down plays, the Eskimos have managed only 4 yards. That's the end of quarter 3. The rematch is a little different. The Stampeders are running away from the Eskimos on Adidas Friday Night Football. Girls from Calgary are a little happier than they were 98 hours ago when the Stampeders lost the Labor Day Classic to the Eskimos at McMahon. And how about Adidas Friday Night Football?
Yeah, big
Coming
game.
up. Huge.
Big,
Edmonton,
big.
Saskatchewan, both at 3-6 right now. This could be for the playoff spot.
Big game in Saskatchewan. Of course, Edmonton beat Saskatchewan here in Commonwealth early in the year, so Saskatchewan desperately needs to win that game.
But Saskatchewan won at Taylor Field against the Eskimos. Here's Kellen on third down, looking for a first down, and he's way short. They'll turn it over again.
Looked like a design play from Don Matthews. Just gave Matt Kellett the nod to go out there and try and fake it.
Castrol GTX, drive hard, presents the numbers after 3 quarters. This is no contest right now.
Oh, that's, you know, there's
You got to get over 100.
Well, there's only one word to describe that. That's ugly.
Yeah.
You know, Troy Mills, non-factor in this football game, had over 100 yards on Labor Day. Was nowhere near that today, and boy, look at that. Edmonton, Saskatchewan, Friday night.
3-6, 3-6. Saskatchewan has an opportunity to be better than that as they play. The Rough Riders play the Argonauts in Toronto tomorrow. But it doesn't look like the Eskimos can be better than 3-6. Kelvin Anderson has had a nice night for the Stampeders. Just 22 yards rushing last week. And he's been a story tonight.
Well, he has. He's got 52 yards tonight on 12 carries. But, you know, last week he was out of the game early. I'm talking about he was out of the game in a hurry as far as the game plan goes. He wasn't injured, obviously, but wasn't involved. Even if he's just chipping away 3 or 4 yards, it's keeping that defense on him.
And 4 receptions for 26 yards for Anderson as well, swinging out of the backfield. This is 2nd and 8. Dickinson is picked out. Asman has the interception. So the Eskimos come away with a little something and end the Stampeder drive at the 40. It's 35-13 on Adidas Friday Night Football.
By the block and then drop. Chris Hardy on the safeties coming on the blitz. Dave Dickinson sees Hardy, thinks he's got to drop it off. See now, Asman drops out of there, right to him. Well-designed defense by Rich Stubler. He was the one who drew that defense up, and it worked to perfection. That's the way you put it on the chalkboard at practice.
Stubler is trying to figure out all the players he's got on defense out there because there have been a lot of changes, so it's been difficult for the Eskimos. Good fake, and Mason takes off, looking for the first down. He's got it more, head down, and a hammer job on Greg Frere's number 12, the Stampeder safety.
We talked a lot about Terry Ray and how much he's helped the linebacking core. Well, so is Charles Asman. He's been in there for the last 3 games starting. 7 tackles, a quarterback sack on Monday versus the Stamps. He's been flying around here again this evening versus Calgary, really doing his job, and then he came up with that big interception to give his Edmonton Eskimos maybe one more chance at it.
Third start in the middle. He's got 15 tackles coming into this game and been effective tonight, adding the interception as well. Mills ran into Hall. First down for the Eskimos in the second half.
And you're looking at a guy that I'm really surprised that the Edmonton Eskimos forgot about, and that was Troy Mills. You saw him rip off a good 5 yards there on first down, and he had that kind of game on Monday. First down production, look at that.
That's pretty ugly, 28-6.
Yeah, and Troy Mills has been forgotten about.
2nd and 5, not now. Mills one more time, and I'm not sure if he had enough forward progress there. It looked like he had enough for the first down.
Yeah, and I think
they should be generous with a spot about now.
Yeah, and I think Edmonton will be in 3 downs anyway, even if it is close. They've got a big deficit to come back from. So Troy Mills, only 40 yards on the game, over 100 on Monday. And Troy Mills is a big reason that the quarterbacks can run. Because the quarterbacks run to the outside. I'm talking about Nealon Green, and in this case it has to be Kevin Mason because Green has the hamstring problem. But they can stretch the outside of the D-line. When Troy Mills is running well up the middle, it works in tandem. Without Troy Mills, it's harder to run outside.
A gamble for the Eskimos here. There's not much left to do but gamble at this stage of things on 3rd and 1, and that should be a first down.
No, it's 3-down football pretty much for Don Matthews the rest of this game. You got to just keep going for it, and they got to score 3 majors.
Don Matthews has 174 wins and is tied with Frank Clare for the most wins by any CFL head coach, regular season plus playoffs. But 175 is not going to happen tonight. At 35-13, Matthews is in big trouble.
It would be one heck of a comeback to come back from that deficit with your 3rd string quarterback in the ballgame. Kevin Mason has looked rusty since he's taken over the reins in the second half. He's not getting a lot of reps. He hasn't thrown the ball real well. What he's got to do is just run the football.
He ran for a first down himself, and that was the first down for the Eskimos in this half. Another marker is down.
Time count violation. Edmonton number 12.
That is Nealon Green on the bench. He's got the warm-up coat on. He's been on the bench since they came out in the second half.
He looks uncomfortable down there, too.
Hamstring tightened up. It was a cool night. That's the other thing. When you go in at halftime, you can get in the game, you loosen it up, and then the first half, you're running around. It feels okay. You go in and sit down at halftime. It tightens up a little bit. You come out in the cool air the second half, and he just decided he couldn't go and doesn't want to test that hamstring. There's a lot of football to be played, and you think about the Friday game. Who they going to go with? Dan Crowley, who's right now charting the plays, Kevin Mason, or will Nealon Green be ready?
Long odds. Mason faked it and takes off around the right side. Fake to Mills, and Mason has a pretty nice game. Not a first down, but 13 yards.
Nealon Green has this hamstring. This could be something that nags him all season long because he's not like he likes to be a drop back passer. And I'm sure that Don Matthews has probably said, listen, if we can make you a pocket passer and you can stay in there as long as you can, then you could save that hamstring again. But he's at his best when he's running. You can see his numbers just not good in the first half. So
he wasn't close to connecting several times in the first half. This one is whistled down as Mason is grabbed by a leg. My guess is procedure. 9:54 to go. Stampeders have bounced back.
Sean Millington jumped offside trying to get his block. Boy, talk about some injury problems that the Edmonton Eskimos have had to get through. I mean, talk about all the starters they lost in the Labor Day game. They patched that up going into this one tonight. Now they've lost their starting quarterback again in Nealon Green, so it's a matter of scrambling for another week. The good thing for Don Matthews is at least this week.
Procedure. Edmonton 25. Penalties declined. 3rd down.
You told us all that moments ago, didn't you?
Yeah, at least this week he has the whole week. There's the injuries they had on Labor Day on Monday. Of course, there are 2 big play receivers, Terry Vaughn and Fred Bailey.
Jay McNeil was the only injured Stampeder.
That's right.
Who couldn't make this. Wally Buono said his team didn't play hard enough to get banged up on Monday. Third down. Eskimos will get a first down out of this. Mason has his first completion. And Ashley has a catch to get inside the Stampeder 25.
A couple of the guys that we saw on that injured list for Edmonton will be back next week. Terry Vaughn was kind of questionable. If it weren't for the short week, he may have played. And the same thing goes for Ken Watson. Little turn back and then back to the backside of the play where Donnie Ashley is wide open on the sideline. Completion for Kevin Mason. But so Don Matthews will get a couple of guys back for next week, and at least he has the full week to assess just how bad the injuries are.
Eskimos 1st and 10, Stampeder 15. Mason got it away, and he's down to the 5. Walters held on. Johnson brought him down. And Eric Sutton was covering.
Here's what Ricky Walters sees. Concentrate on the tip of the football. Go up and use your body to make sure the defensive back can't get around you, and Ricky Walters comes up with the catch.
Short of the first down, but they've got less than a yard to go to get that at the 5-yard line. One of the Eskimos' best drives of the night. In fact, I think it must be Edmonton's best drive. Chance for a touchdown here, 8:16 to go. There's the first down inside the 5 to about the 4. And Mason is roughed up. He was mugged.
Fans want
no
a
marker
penalty
there. 52,000 calling for a penalty. Mason said it didn't hurt a bit.
And they're going to have to measure to see if he got the first down because he was held right at the 5-yard stripe. The ball is on the opposite side of that stripe.
Stood up at the line of scrimmage.
That was only 2nd down, however.
He kind of stood straight up as he bounced out, and then Greg Frères with the good feet holds him up. Lets his buddies, Alondra Johnson, Marvin Coleman, and Ray Biggs come in there and help him out, and then they tossed him to the ground. He'd be short.
By inches. 3rd and inches.
2 lengths of the chain.
3rd and 2 inches.
Chain gang will head off, and you know, this just does nothing here but for the Edmonton Eskimos but take up time. And they don't have a whole lot of time left to come back in this game. It's under 8 minutes.
Another one of those stands. This time it's the Stampeders on defense trying to prevent an Eskimo first down. Mason looked to be slow to get off the ball again, but he will have the first down this time. And 3 cracks at it from inside the 5. Last regular season game of the decade. And the millennium for the Calgary Stampeders and the Edmonton Eskimos, unless they should meet in the playoffs.
Well, if Edmonton can't come back in this football game, and it doesn't look like they will, that means that career-wise versus Edmonton, Wally Buono will move to 15 and 15, which
you
means
can't do much better than that, can you?
if they do meet in the playoffs, like you just mentioned, to end the year 1999, that will be the rubber match for the 90s.
1st and goal to go. Mason bobbled it, and flags were flying already.
Markers on the play.
Calgary won at McMahon Stadium on the 22nd.
Illegal procedure. Edmonton number 60. First down repeated.
Edmonton won at McMahon Stadium on Monday in overtime.
Make it 2nd and goal, Eskimos.
4 days later, Wally Buono is looking at his team and is pretty happy with the way they played. Battled through some penalty problems and a block kick in the first half by Edmonton to come back and pretty much dominate this game in the second half.
So from 3 cracks at it from inside the 5, the Eskimos on the 11th play of this drive are 1st and goal to go at about the 7th. And all kinds of problems down there.
Kevin Mason has struggled.
Calgary, Edmonton procedure. Back him again. Illegal procedure. Edmonton number 23. First down repeated.
This time it's Scott Dybert gets called.
Interesting, you know, as you look at this game, and the matchups in Alberta at this time of the year. It's not very often you see in football two teams starting work on Monday and then ending work face-to-face on Friday, but that's what these two teams do every year. Mason feels the heat, and he had to throw it away. Greg Frears.
I don't think the ball crossed the line of scrimmage,
No.
which means Kevin Mason's going to get an intentional grounding call, which means the Edmonton Eskimos in the last 3 plays are going backwards.
They've lost about 35 yards. Well, not quite 35, about 25 anyway.
There's Greg Frears, gets the clean shot off the edge on the safety blitz. He's been down there a couple times and dropped from it, so Mason really has nowhere to go. He can't beat him to the outside, tries to throw it away, but because he's on his way down, can't get enough on that football to get it across the line of scrimmage.
In spite of all the Eskimo problems this year in the record at 3-6, no one has yelled for Kay Stevenson to come back to town.
No.
Illegal contact on a receiver, Calgary number 3. Intentional grounding, Edmonton number 12. Down repeated, first down.
Well, they'll do it again.
You know, if either team would give an inch, they could space this game out a little bit more. If the Stampeders would play on the Sunday of Labor Day weekend, and the Eskimos would play on the Saturday night rather than the Friday night, they could have a few days in between.
Go back to my old cliche. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
But the Eskimos refuse to move, and so do the Stampeders. It's just part of the stubbornness and the hate between these two football teams. Mason looks to the end zone. No touchdown. Ricky Walters was the target.
Ricky Walters, the intended receiver.
He had Ricky Walters in the back of the end zone, but he was thrown on the dead fly, and it's a lot easier said than done when you're running full speed one way and you're trying to throw that football back against your body. That's not easy. Look how fast he's running across the field. He's trying to hit Ricky Walters. Ball goes behind him and incomplete. But Walters did have a step on Eric Sutton in the back of the end zone.
At one point, Mason had the Eskimos inside the 5. First and goal to go there. This drive has taken 7 minutes and 24 seconds, and it's been downright boring, hasn't it? Mason almost intercepted.
Greg Frears read the mail, just didn't come up with a catch. And if he does, he's got the convoy going all the way to the end zone. Oh, he'd love this one back. He breaks up here, and if he gets it, he is gone. Great read, comes out of his back pedal perfectly, has his hands on the football. He's gone down that sideline. Chris Morris, number 60, the only guy over there. He's not going to catch Greg Frears. Got to catch the ball.
3rd and goal from way out there. Mason stands in, missed the target by about 4 feet. That was Donnie Ashley. Well, the Boo Birds are out at Commonwealth in Edmonton. They don't boo the Eskimos very often, but it's getting a little ugly on Adidas Friday Night Football. 52,000 showed up. All of it. But it's thinning out. No doubt about that. Dickinson still in there at the controls for the Stampeders. Kelvin Anderson still running.
That surprises me a little bit, John, that Dickinson is still in the football game. You know, this is an opportunity for Wally Buono to put in the backup quarterback, Mike McCoy, get him some more snaps, some more reps. He's got the big lead. Really no chance Edmonton has to come back here. And they may need Mike McCoy down the line.
Well, they've needed him this season, and he's come through in 1 game.
Yeah, 3 games, as a matter of fact. 3 starts, 3 wins. Henry Burris was knocked out, and Dave Dickinson was already out. So.
Stampeders have scored 4 touchdowns on their last 5 possessions. Marcus Dowdell has a chance here to keep this drive rolling out near the 30-yard line. Stopped there by Robert Brown.
Calgary Stampeders now will just run the ball on first down, see if they can pick it up on the ground, keep the clock moving, try and get out of here without anybody getting hurt. Just surprised that Dave Dickinson's in the game.
This is the 10th anniversary of back-to-school night at Commonwealth Stadium. You know what also happened here in Canadian football 10 years ago today?
What's that?
The Ottawa Rough Riders won their first game of the year. It was week 10. Remember the Rough Riders? They were 4-14 in 1989. Kelvin Anderson, quite a story for the Stamps tonight. Close to another first down. He's near the 40-yard line. It will depend on the spot.
Talk about the Ottawa Rough Riders, and a lot of talk these days that maybe they'll be back in the league. The league office is really wanting to push to expand the Canadian Football League to 10 teams, put one team in the Maritimes, put one more team back in Ottawa, so that'd be nice to see.
It really would be. They need balance, though. They need 2 or none at this point, I think. Anderson is hammered. Flags come down near the 40-yard line.
Give to Calvin Anderson.
Still battling down there. I mean, this is the game film time. This is the time when, even though you're down as a defense and you know the game is pretty much lost, you got to keep battling because the coaches watch the film from start to finish. If they see anyone quit, they're not healthy. Mike McCoy looked like he was loosening up a little bit there.
I think he'd like to get in. Started on Monday. Dickinson came in the second quarter.
That's right. Played pretty well in the 3 starts that he had. He really made good decisions. He doesn't have a terribly strong arm, and he's not a real great runner, but he buys some time and he makes good decisions. Really didn't throw a whole lot of interceptions.
2nd and 8. Anderson out of the backfield. Has another Calgary first down. Lots to spare. Hardy comes over to make the tackle. The Eskimos are hurting and trailing by a bunch. It's 35-13. Revenge for the Stampeders in the rematch at Commonwealth. The NFL season kicks off on with countdown on TSN 11 o'clock.
That game, too, is the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game.
Yeah, the Browns are back.
Browns are back, and there's going to be over 72,000 in Cleveland Stadium, barking dogs, ready to go. And, you know, John Huffnagel is the quarterback coach in Cleveland.
Yeah, we'll cheer for the Browns for a while. Because of John Huffnagel, Mike McCoy takes over for the Stampeders just to mop up what Dave Dickinson accomplished. And Kelvin Anderson is not through. Close to another 10 yards for Anderson. Marcelo Simmons
You see
made
that?
the tackle.
Dave Dickinson, quite a night, and quite a night after doing his best impersonation of a crash test dummy on Monday.
Almost hit 500 yards, and he likely would have if he'd continued to play the last 220 of this ball game.
George, where'd you go?
A couple of interceptions, but no harm done by either one, really. Anderson again. Stampeders very happy to just run some time off the clock and get out of Commonwealth. Another first down for Calgary. Dickinson took a beating on Monday night at McMahon.
Yeah, I couldn't believe watching Dave Dickinson being pounded like he was on Monday. I mean, it didn't matter if he was throwing the football or if he was being sacked. That was 1 of 7. That was Leroy Blue. But he got hit and hit often and hit hard. Bounced back from that to put up an over 400-yard passing game here tonight.
First down, Stampeders. Eskimo 30. Kelvin Anderson tries to turn the corner without much success.
And one of the passes in that 400 for Dave Dickinson was a very important one for another guy and one of his teammates, and that was Alan Pitts.
Alan Pitts becomes the all-time leading receiver in CFL history. Part of that 602 yards in total offense. Pitts passing your old teammate Ray Elgard. He's #1 on the hit parade now, or at least on the receiving parade.
Well, it's interesting because Don Narcisse leads in receptions. Alan Pitts leads now in yardage. Both are still playing, and both are kind of peeking to see when the other is going to retire.
Pitts has added a touchdown.